Hi, folks. Tonight we are going to do an episode on ayahuasca and DMT. Not the only each, but the experiences that people have when they use them. I'm relatively new at this. I really don't know anything about it. I've not tried either. I plan to go through an ayahuasca experience, and when I do, it will be live. So you can see at least what I'm experiencing on the outside, but also when I regain consciousness, I can tell everyone what I experienced right then and there. So if there's any, I don't do drugs, really, I don't really drink. So if you see me or you read some news that I died from this, from mainstream media and police reports, don't believe it. If I do anything like ayahuasca, I will be doing it live. So if I do die, you can see it actually happening in real life, and it wasn't an assassination. So that being said, this can be a long segment. There's a lot to catch up on, but then you go at your own speed. There's links to all the videos that I'm going to show in the description box, and you can go ahead and watch some of it, watch all of it. It's all up to you. I'm going to stream all of it, restream, and show all the sources. It may take a greater part of 2 hours, and then we'll go into the discussion part. So watch if you want, don't watch, and we can have a talk about it afterwards, as far as what your thoughts are to ayahuasca and DMT.
And you know, that leads me to ask, what is death? Our materialist science reduces everything to matter. Materialist science in the West says that we are just meat, we're just our bodies. So when the brain is dead, that's the end of consciousness. There is no life after death. There is no soul. We just rot and are gone. But actually, many honest scientists should admit that consciousness is the greatest mystery of science. And that we don't know exactly how it works. The brain's involved in it in some way, but we're not sure how. Could be that the brain generates consciousness the way a generator makes electricity. If you hold to that paradigm, then of course you can't believe in life after death. When the generator's broken, consciousness is gone. But it's equally possible that the relationship, and nothing in neuroscience rules it out, that the relationship is more like the relationship of the TV signal to the TV set. And in that case, when the TV set is broken, of course, the TV signal continues. And this is the paradigm of all spiritual traditions, that we are immortal souls, temporarily incarnated in these physical forms to learn and to grow and to develop. And really, if we want to know about this mystery, the last people we should ask are materialist reductionist scientists. They have nothing to say on the matter at all. Let's go rather to the ancient Egyptians, who put their best minds to work for 3,000 years on the problem of death, and on the problem of how we should live our lives to prepare for what we will confront after death. And the ancient Egyptians expressed their ideas in transcendent art, which still touches us emotionally today, and they came to certain very specific conclusions, that the soul does survive death, and that we will be held accountable for every thought, every action, every deed that we have lived through in our lives. So we better take this precious opportunity to be born in a human body seriously and make the most of it. And in these inquiries into the mystery of death, the ancient Egyptians weren't just exercising their imaginations. They highly valued dream states, and it's now known that they used visionary plants like the hallucinogenic blue water lily. And it's interesting that the ancient Egyptian tree of life has recently been identified as the Acacia nilotica, which contains high quantities of DMT, dimethyltryptamine, the same active ingredient that we find in ayahuasca. Now, it's difficult to imagine a society more different from the society of ancient Egypt than our society today. We hate visionary states in this society. In our society, if we want to insult somebody, we call them a dreamer. In ancient societies, that was praise. And we have erected huge apparatuses of armed bureaucracies who will invade our privacy, who will break down our doors, who will arrest us, who will send us to prison, sometimes for years, for possessing even small quantities of psilocybin or substances like DMT, whether in its smokable form or in the ayahuasca brew. And yet, ironically, DMT is, we now know, a natural brain hormone. We all have it in our bodies, and it's just that its function remains unknown for lack of research. And it's not as though our society is opposed in principle to altered states of consciousness. I mean, billions are being made by the unholy alliance of psychiatrists and big pharma in overprescribing drugs to control so-called syndromes like depression or attention deficit disorder in teenagers. And we have a love affair in our society with alcohol. We glorify this most boring of drugs, despite the terrible consequences that it often has. And of course, we love our stimulants, our tea, our coffee, our energy drinks, our sugar, and huge industries are built around these substances, which are valued because of the way they alter consciousness. But what all these approved altered states of consciousness have in common is that none of them contradict or conflict with the basic state of consciousness valued by our society, which I would call the alert, problem-solving state of consciousness, which is good for the more mundane aspects of science. It's good for the prosecution of warfare. It's good for commerce. It's good for politics. But I think everybody realizes that the promise of a society over-monopolistically based upon this state of consciousness has proved hollow, and that this model is no longer working, that it's broken in every possible sense that a model can be broken, and that urgently we need to find something to replace it. The vast problems of global pollution that have resulted from the single-minded pursuit of profit, the horrors of nuclear proliferation, the specter of hunger, that millions every night go to bed starving, that we can't even solve this problem despite our alert problem-solving state of consciousness. And look what's happening in the Amazon, the lungs of our planet, this precious home of biodiversity. The old-growth rainforest being cut down and replaced with soybean farms so we can feed cattle, so that we can all eat hamburgers. Only a truly insane global state of consciousness could allow such an abomination to occur. And I did a back-of-an-envelope calculation during the Iraq War. It seems to me that 6 months' expenditure on the Iraq War would have solved the problem of the Amazon forever, would be sufficient to compensate the peoples of the Amazon so that no single tree ever needed to be cut down again to garden and look after that amazing resource. But we can't make that decision as a global community. We can spend countless billions on warfare, on hatred, on fear, on suspicion, on division, but we can't get together the collective effort to save the lungs of our planet. And this is perhaps why shamans from the Amazon are now mounting a kind of reverse missionary activity. When I've asked shamans about the sickness of the West, they say it's quite simple. You guys have severed your connection with spirit. Unless you reconnect with spirit and do so soon, you're going to bring the whole house of cards down around your heads and ours. And rightly or wrongly, they believe that ayahuasca is the remedy for that sickness. And many now are being called to the Amazon to drink ayahuasca, and ayahuasca shamans are traveling throughout the West, offering the brew, often under the radar, often at personal risk, to bring about consciousness change. And it's true that the message of ayahuasca, the universal message, is about the sacred, magical, enchanted, infinitely precious nature of life on Earth and the interdependence of material and spiritual realms. And it's impossible to work with ayahuasca for long without being deeply and profoundly affected by this message. And let's not forget that ayahuasca is not alone, that it's part of an ancient worldwide system of the targeted, careful, responsible alteration of consciousness. It's recently been shown by scholars that the kykeon used in the Eleusinian mysteries in ancient Greece was almost certainly a psychedelic brew, that the soma of the Vedas may well have been a brew based upon the Amanita muscaria mushroom. We have the DMT in the ancient Egyptian tree of life. We have the whole global cultures of surviving shamanism. And what it's all about is a state of consciousness that's designed to help us find balance, harmony. The ancient Egyptians would have called it Ma'at, with the universe, and to remain mindful that what we're here to undertake on Earth while immersed in matter is fundamentally a spiritual journey aimed at the growth and perfection of the soul, a journey that may go back to the very origins of what made us human in the first place. And I stand here invoking the hard-won right of freedom of speech to call for and demand another right to be recognized, and that is the right of adult sovereignty over consciousness. There's a war on consciousness in our society, and if we as adults are not allowed to make sovereign decisions about what to experience with our own consciousness while doing no harm to others, including the decision to use responsibly ancient and sacred visionary plants, then we cannot claim to be free in any way. And it's useless for our society to go around the world imposing our form of democracy on others while we nourish this rot at the heart of society and we do not allow individual freedom over consciousness. It may even be that we're denying ourselves the next vital step in our own evolution by allowing this state of affairs to continue, and who knows, perhaps our immortal destiny as well.
Okay, so that was Graham Hancock. That's when he was having a talk, and someone on chat was saying that it was a TED Talk that was banned. At least that's what Robert's saying. The drawings were done in after school, so all the sketches that you see are there. Again, you can go and watch that video again if you want to, directly at the site linked in the description box. Next, I'm going to go over to Joe Rogan. He's had a couple of talks, but I'm going to just kind of do some short videos of it. Go into a website, an article that describes the differences. And again, it's going to rehash what Joe Rogan talks about, but it's on paper at least. And then do a Joe Rogan reacts to Michael Pollan. If you don't know who Michael Pollan is, I'll go ahead and tell you more of a brief intro to Michael Pollan. A lot of people here probably know who Michael Pollan is. Then I'll go into a Crowhouse video where Max Egan talks about it. Goes on an hour talk. And then a 30-minute kind of rundown by Quantum of Conscious Matt as he goes through, talks about Chris Geo and their like 4 or 5 hour video describing what they went through when they were in Egypt, and in 30 minutes. And so yeah, it's a lot of things to watch, but if you want to go and watch it with me, that's great. Here we go.
There's this girl, I was trying to date her, she's not interested in me, but has gone to the Amazon and done ayahuasca.
Oh.
And she said that I don't know if she learned about it from you or you were advocating for it, but she went down there a couple times and then did it not in the Amazon. How many times have you done it? Or
I haven't done ayahuasca. What I've done is DMT, which is the active compound in ayahuasca.
Oh, okay.
So what ayahuasca is, here's what ayahuasca is. The Amazon indigenous people figured out a way to make DMT orally active.
Right.
See, DMT is broken down in your gut by something called monoamine oxidase.
All of this makes sense.
So when you eat it, that's why when you eat a lot of grasses and different plants, you don't get high off the DMT in it because it gets broken down in your gut.
Uh-huh.
Well, so what they figured out is a way to combine the leaves of one plant, which contain the DMT, and the leaves of
like
the one, the MAO inhibitor. No, it's an MAO inhibitor. And so this combination of the two plants, one that contains DMT and one that suppresses monoamine oxidase in your gut, allows you to experience dimethyltryptamine orally. So it's a long DMT trip. What I've done is smoke it, which is way more intense, but way shorter lasting.
When was the last time you did something? Because
a year ago.
A year ago.
Yeah.
All right. Because you know me, we've known each other 20 some years. I'm not like a pot smoker. Mm-hmm. Don't really drink at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a drug experimenter. Like I've done
mushrooms.
Yes, that's my favorite drug.
It's a great drug. Well,
favorite.
mushrooms are very similar.
They are.
in their reaction, especially at high doses to DMT, and in fact, they're very similar as far as the compound themselves. I think this where the way it's expressed in the body. DMT is N,N-dimethyltryptamine, and when psilocybin is broken down in the body, it produces something called 4-phosphoryloxy N,N-dimethyltryptamine.
All of this, I'm kind of like glazing over.
I'm just saying they're really closely related. One of the most potent psychedelic drugs are very closely related to basic human neurochemistry, and DMT is human neurochemistry. It is actually the most potent psychedelic drug known to man, and it's actually produced by your body. It's produced in your liver, it's produced in your lungs, and it's produced in your pineal gland.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
When you smoke the DMT, how many times have you done it?
9 times?
9.
Yeah.
Will there be a 10?
Yes.
Today, with Wayne?
Well,
No.
I don't have it here, but if I did, if you really wanted to go, we could do it.
What? You
Yeah.
would?
Yeah, I'm ready to do it again. I think I usually need some time after I do it to sit back and think about it and absorb it and take it in.
Do you feel like it helped your stand-up at all?
100%. It helps everything in my life. It helps me.
Was there any downside?
Yeah, you get there's a real anxiety that happened to me once after it was over. I did one trip where it was incredibly intense, and I wouldn't say overdose. You don't overdose because it's a natural part of your brain. Your brain knows how to bring it back to baseline very quickly. It's like one of the most transient drugs ever observed in the body. You go from being blasted out of your fucking mind to completely sober in 20 minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
How would you...
But then you just dive back in. The last time I did it, we did it like 4 or 5 times, so I was pretty gonzo for about an hour and a half or so, somewhere around there. We would go in, come out, go back in again. In the meantime, the whole time this is going on, we're playing this South American music, these Icaros, which these shamans have created to sort of coax the experience.
Do I need a shaman to do this?
No, you don't need a shaman. If you're going to do DMT,
if Wayne Fetterman, just Wayne, again, you know me, I'm kind of I'm not an edgy guy, really.
Okay.
What would you recommend? How would you recommend I do it? Have you ever smoked crack?
No.
Would you?
No.
With Wayne?
No.
What if I did this face?
No.
What if I did this?
I'm no interested in crack. I don't have any interest in even cocaine. I've never done cocaine. No.
Oh.
No, I don't have any interest in stimulants. I'm not interested in anything that gives me confidence. I'm not interested in any false sense of bravado and getting boosted up. I'm not interested in that.
Okay.
I feel like amphetamines and speed, what they do is they remove inhibitions in a way that gets you in a lot of trouble.
What about
drinking? I like drinking.
Even though that's a barbiturate, right?
A barbiturate? Drinking
is a downer, right?
That's not a barbiturate, though. Like, isn't a barbiturate a specific class of drugs? Is alcohol barbiturate? I don't think barbiturate is a very specific class of downer, isn't it?
We're gonna find out. That was when I'm not I don't drink really, but as a rule,
say barbiturates, overdose, central nervous system, depressants, alcohol, opiates. Okay, so that's what they're saying.
Anyways, this one kind of went off topic, so I'm gonna move on to the next one. You can watch the full video if you want. I'm just gonna go ahead and read this article. It's at thirdwave.co. You can probably find other articles. This is the one that I found that seemed to be very informative. And of course, I'm gonna be doing a lot more research on it than I am showing here. So Ayahuasca versus DMT. This is January 30th, 2017 by Patrick Smith. There's a disclaimer. Ayahuasca and DMT are potentially illegal substances, and we do not encourage or condone the use of these substances where it is against the law. However, we accept that illegal drug use occurs and believe that offering responsible harm reduction information is imperative to keeping people safe. For that reason, this guide is designed to ensure the safety of those who decide to use the substance. We do not encourage using this drug outside of a legal or traditional context. Ayahuasca versus DMT. One is an ancient psychedelic brew that makes you vomit before subjecting you to hours of psychedelic introspection. Again, you're going to hear references how it is a very ancient brew. This is not a new drug. DMT it could be called that. So the other chemical is found in nature that when smoked can catapult you into a totally different reality, but only for a few minutes. Both drugs have very different effects, but are actually very similar. So what do we know about these sister psychedelics, ayahuasca and DMT? Ayahuasca has been made by indigenous peoples for hundreds of years in South America. It's made from several different types of plant, and the ingredients vary from place to place. The brewing process is also variable, with some recipes involving many complex steps lasting several days. The brew is drunk traditionally in healing ceremonies, overseen by a shaman, allowing people to connect with the greater power. The name ayahuasca means vine of the dead, and healing ceremonies often revolve around connecting with primeval forces and ancestors. Drinking ayahuasca results in a purge involving vomiting and sometimes diarrhea. Many believe that this purge is a crucial part of the ayahuasca experience and must be endured in order to gain the most meaning from the trip. After the purge, a user will find themselves gradually moving to a different reality with various shifts in perception. They may see figures of deities, revisiting past memories, and be shown quite dramatically their inner demons and vices. The experience can last several hours before perception returns to normal. Off note, this kind of reminds me of Dune, when Paul Atreides drinks the spice melange and goes through that process and becomes Muad'Dib. Anyways, back to the article. Ayahuasca has recently become popular in the modern world. A large number of ayahuasca retreats have appeared in Brazil and Peru, aimed at attracting otherwise uninitiated Westerners to the healing power of the ayahuasca ceremony. A huge array of anecdotal and scientific reports suggest that the ayahuasca experience can be used to treat addiction, depression, PTSD, and OCD, and can provide people with a therapeutic introspection that can provide a fresh perspective on life. See our ultimate guide for more details. These days, you don't even have to travel to the Amazon to experience ayahuasca. 2 churches in the U.S. can now legally provide ayahuasca to their followers in their ceremonies. The UDV and Santo Daime, I don't know what those are. And people have even started making their own ayahuasca brews at home. Click here for our guide on how to brew ayahuasca at home. Click here for our guide on the legality of ayahuasca. The traditional ayahuasca brew is made from 2 plants, B. caapi and P. viridis. I don't know if I'm saying that right, sorry. So B. caapi vine contains monoamine oxidase inhibitors, or MAOIs, that cause you to feel sick when you drink ayahuasca. The main job of the MAOIs in ayahuasca is to stop your stomach from breaking down the active ingredients in the P. viridis leaf. Dimethyltryptamine, I ruined that. Or DMT, let's just call it DMT. When you drink ayahuasca, the MAOIs prevent DMT being broken down in your stomach, allowing it to be absorbed into your body. It is the DMT in ayahuasca that makes you trip. DMT is a simple molecule that is found in hundreds of species of plant and is also thought to be produced in tiny amounts in the brains of mammals. Although this is still hotly disputed, many believe that endogenous DMT produced naturally in the body, might be involved in spiritual or out-of-body experiences. DMT works by mimicking the neurotransmitter serotonin. In the brain, DMT activates serotonin receptors, which are mostly found in areas of the brain that are involved in higher cognitive processes such as self-awareness, introspection, and emotion. DMT can be ingested on its own without being part of an ayahuasca brew, but the effects are very different. When smoked, DMT instantly sends the user into an intense psychedelic trip. DMT can also be injected intravenously, although this is less common. Users often report the feeling of being violently catapulted into space and seeing intense visions of magnificent otherworldly beings, beautiful patterns, or bizarre landscapes. The experience only lasts a few minutes before the user rapidly returns to reality. Why does ayahuasca last so much longer than smoked DMT? If ayahuasca contains DMT, why does the ayahuasca experience last so much longer than smoking DMT? We believe The answer is due to the means of ingestion. When you drink an ayahuasca brew, all the DMT is absorbed through your stomach lining. This is a slower form of DMT ingestion, so the DMT molecules won't reach your brain as quickly and won't all be absorbed through your stomach at the same time. When you smoke DMT, the molecules are absorbed straight into your bloodstream through your lungs, meaning all the DMT hits your brain at once very quickly. This is why, despite DMT being present in ayahuasca, the experiences can be very different. DMT can be ingested on its own without being part of an ayahuasca brew, but the effects are very different. When smoked, DMT instantly sends the user into an intense psychedelic trip. What about the other ingredients of ayahuasca? As mentioned above, ayahuasca also contains MAOIs and sometimes a variety of other plants depending on the region in which it's made. The main role of the MAOIs in ayahuasca is to allow you to absorb DMT. They have been implicated in psychedelic effects themselves. It's also the MAOIs that are responsible for the purge at the beginning of the ayahuasca experience. One study suggests that one of the MAOIs in ayahuasca can stimulate the growth of new brain cells in the lab, meaning it's possible that the substance stimulates the formation of new connections in the brain. It's most likely, however, that the moderate psychedelic effects of the MAOIs in ayahuasca are overwhelmed by the intense effects of the DMT. If you take ayahuasca, it's important to remember that MAOIs can be very toxic when combined with certain other drugs or foods. Here's a complete list of the substances and foods that should be avoided when you take ayahuasca. Can ayahuasca and DMT be used therapeutically? Several scientific studies have been carried out on the therapeutic effects of ayahuasca. This review highlights some of the recent scientific findings concerning ayahuasca and its ability to treat depression, addiction, and forms of anxiety. There are also numerous anecdotal reports about people using ayahuasca to treat PTSD, OCD, and other mental health issues. We present some of these anecdotes at the end of this article. There have not been any studies on DMT being used as a therapeutic drug. It seems quite likely that the reason ayahuasca is so therapeutic is because it sends its users on an extended introspective journey through their own consciousness. There's evidence to back this up. One study has directly linked the mindfulness aspect of the ayahuasca trip with its therapeutic benefit, and another study suggests that maximum therapeutic value can be attained from highly spiritual trips. It's possible that because the DMT experience is over so quickly, it doesn't give the user a chance to address the problems in their lives. We wouldn't be surprised, however, if even the brief and intense experiences with DMT can change people's cognition in the long term. Where can I get DMT or ayahuasca? DMT is an illegal drug everywhere in the world following the Vienna Convention. Interesting that. However, in many countries, DMT-containing plants are not illegal to buy. We're currently compiling a guide to obtaining DMT-containing plants and other ingredients of ayahuasca, and have written a guide on brewing your own ayahuasca at home. If you're concerned about the legality of making your own ayahuasca or buying DMT-containing plants, we've also compiled this piece on the legality of ayahuasca around the world. If you don't want to make your own ayahuasca or purchase DMT-containing plants, you have other options available. If you live in the U.S., you could visit one of the 2 legal ayahuasca churches, Santo Daime or UDB. Otherwise, you could travel to a country such as Brazil or Peru, where ayahuasca is legal, and join a retreat designed specifically to introduce people from around the world to the benefits of ayahuasca. We're currently editing issues, reviewing some of the most popular retreats in the countries as a starting off point. Stay tuned. Okay, so there's more if you want to kind of read into the user reports of ayahuasca experience. The link is in the description box. I'm going to move on to the videos. This one is Joe Rogan reacts to Michael Pollan's DMT story. Michael Pollan, he wrote Omnivore's Dilemma and a couple of other books. It's a good read. I think I don't know exactly what his thing is, but this is about ayahuasca and DMT, so I'm just gonna play back the video. But if you would like to, you can always look up more about Michael Pollan if you do not know who he is.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Did you have a dumb moment?
I had a lot of insights. I don't know if I did actually.
How many different trips did you have while you're doing
I
that?
had 6 or 7. So I did 2 psilocybin trips, one guided, one not, an LSD trip guided. a couple ayahuasca circles, and then I had a really weird psychedelic called 5-MeO-DMT, which is the smoked venom of the Sonoran desert toad. Who figured that out? Should get some kind of prize. But
that's a pretty potent one.
Very potent, and thank God, short-acting. Short-lived. It was actually a horrible experience. That
really?
was my worst. Yeah,
I had a great experience on it.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what was wrong with it?
So you take like one puff, and before you exhale, there's a synthetic version too, right? I was taking the venom. You're shot out of a cannon. There's no lead up. It's no warm up. It's like, boom. And I felt like I was actually like strapped to the outside of a rocket, going through space and through clouds, and like the G-forces pulling down my cheeks. And it was just this mental storm without nothing to orient myself. There was no space. There was no time. There was no self. And it was just unendurable, this punishing roar in my ears. And someone who had done it said eventually it's like a takeoff and you get into orbit, and it's very nice at that point. But what happened with me is I had the storm. I mean, I felt like it was like the metaphor I use in the book is like, I said, I can't explain this. You can't tell a story without place, time, and character, right? I had none of those.
Right.
It was just this inchoate energy. And I said it was like before the Big Bang. You remember that? Well, obviously nobody does.
Yeah.
But there was pure energy and no matter yet and no time yet. I mean, that's where I was. And it was horrible. It was terrifying. And I thought I was dying. But then you come down. It was kind of a suborbital flight. And then I started coming down. And suddenly I could feel, I got a body. I was touching my legs. I have a body, and like, there's a floor. There's space, and then there's time, and the universe kind of reconsolidated. And I had this feeling of incredible gratitude.
Yeah.
Not just for being alive, which all of us have had at one point or another, but that anything existed. I was grateful for the fact that there is something and not nothing, because I'd seen what nothing was like. And so in that sense, it ended up kind of positive, but you wouldn't want to go there to have that experience. So subsequently, somebody said to me, a very experienced psychonaut who I was telling this story to, he said, you didn't have enough.
That's what I was just going to tell you.
Really?
Yeah, because you only took one hit. You usually take 3. You take 3, and the rocket ride leads you somewhere. It takes you to the center of the universe.
You take 3, 3, 3?
Three in a row. 3 in a row. Take a big one, blow it out. Take a big one, blow it out. Take a big one. And as you're taking the third one, you're already seeing the world crystallize in front of you. It already starts turning into geometric patterns. You put the pipe down, lay back in the chair, and you just shoot off to the center of the universe. The terrifying thing is you cease to exist. Like, it's the one drug that I've ever taken where you're not there anymore. Yeah. Even N-dimethyltryptamine, which is the difference between 5-methoxy-dimethyltryptamine is just an oxygen molecule attached to it. But N-dimethyltryptamine is incredibly visually stimulating. 5-methoxy is not.
Yeah.
It's just white.
It was white. It was definitely. I don't know how I could have taken 3 hits because I hadn't exhaled the first one when I was gone.
I don't know what you're. I only did the synthetic version of it. You're doing this frog
And the person
version.
I know who did the synthetic version had a very different experience, and they felt like they were installed in the firmament as this happy star. But I didn't get there, so who knows? I did something wrong. Okay.
I don't think you did. I just think you had a different experience. And I mean, obviously, there's got to be some sort of chemical difference. I mean, you're probably getting other things in that frog venom as well as pure DMT.
That's right. That may be it.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know the answer to that.
It's fucking frog spit. I mean, do you know
By the way,
no
frogs were harmed in the making of this drug.
It's excreted on the outside of their body, and what most people do is
milk them.
Yeah, you rub them on a glass and then let it dry off, and then you scrape it off the glass and then
crystallizes.
You smoke it. Yeah.
I heard you just kind of squeeze them, and then it sprays the glass, and overnight it turns into, it looks like brown sugar.
Yeah,
it's an amazing thing. You're the first person who knows anything about it who has
used to be able
to
buy it. Used to be able to buy it.
It was legal till recently. 2011.
Jug of this shit.
Oh my God.
Offline. I bought it from some company, American chemical company or something, and they send it to you. And I had enough to get the entire state of California high for several days because it doesn't take much.
It doesn't.
But it's not something you want to do very often.
And I don't think it has the same kind of healing properties because you're not bringing back information that's usable.
I brought back a lot.
You did?
Yeah, I brought back a lot about myself. And one of the things that I realized, like as I recorded, what I would do is post-trip, I'd hit a tape recorder right when I became conscious again and start talking about the experience. And what I remember saying about the 5-methoxy DMT experience is like, as I'm trying to recount what happened, I feel my ego trying to retake hold of the situation and even use words in a way that might impress you with my ability to describe things. Or as a professional comedian too, I was aware that like a lot of what you're doing, you're saying things in a way that's pleasing to people so that they get excited about hearing you talk. And I was very aware of that while I was doing that. I'm saying I'm trying to explain things that are not possible to explain because the words that we're using were all invented for a world that doesn't exist in the DMT dimension. And once you break through, it is so profoundly alien that any words...
And liberating?
Yes. Yeah. Well, in a way, I mean, it may be really, truly realized that we are in a soup of atoms. And that it's not, there's not like Michael Pollan, Joe Rogan, and Jamie Vernon in a room. Here's a wood table. There's oxygen in between us.
Right.
No, we're in a universal stew of particles. And it breaks those particles down, or at least it gives you a view into that, and you cease to exist, which is the most bizarre thing because it's so similar to N,N-dimethyltryptamine chemically, but so different in
experience.
The fact that you're not there while you're doing regular like N,N-dimethyltryptamine, which is the active ingredient in ayahuasca. Have you done that, the pure version of it?
No, not the pure version.
The pure version is like a very short, much more intense ayahuasca experience. I've never done ayahuasca. I've only done the DMT version. But
by injection or
no smoking it. But what you get out of it is you're there while this is happening, and you're just blown away, and you're like, I can't believe
true in
what I'm
ayahuasca
seeing.
too. You're present.
But there's all these entities that are trying to calm you down. Relax, take it in, settle down. They're all trying to calm you down and alleviate.
Helpful.
Yeah, it's weird, and they're also fucking with you. Like they give you the finger. Like I had a bunch of jokers that were like dancing around me, giving me the finger.
Did you have machine elves too?
I don't believe in that thing. I don't know what that is. Like McKenna had those experiences of machine elves. I saw it, what I described as complex geometric patterns that are made out of love and understanding. They seem to me to be like the building blocks of the soul all around you all the time.
Wow.
Like some just gigantic, impossibly large, infinite well of souls. Just these things dancing around you, and they were never one thing. They would be one thing for a second, and they change into something else, and then they change into something different. And the more profound the experiences got, the more profound the next one would be. And they kept saying, like, look at this. Like, but the words weren't real words. That's the other thing. It's like I'm saying the words, look at this. And I would have that in my head, but I never heard anybody say it. It was almost like it was triggering the concept of those words in my mind.
Right. It's pre or post linguistic, some of these experiences.
So for those of you watching, YouTube disrupted my live stream. So those on D Live, you can keep watching. Those who are on YouTube for some reason are still able to hear me or whatever. I posted a link in the live chat, so continue watching at D Live. And I will continue.
It is difficult to see ourselves as we are. Sometimes we are fortunate enough to have good friends, lovers, or others who will do us the good service of telling us the truth about ourselves. When we don't, we can so easily delude ourselves, lose a sense of truth about ourselves, and our conscience loses power and purpose. Mostly we tell ourselves what we would like to hear. We lose our way. And this week's opening quote comes from John Katz. Welcome to Surviving the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maxwell Egan. It's a pleasure to be with you once again, and I will be your host for the next hour. Well, here I am still in Hawaii, folks. I've just completed a week of Kambo workshops and done a little bit of a tour of the island. Quite an amazing place. We went up and visited the volcano the other day, had a bit of an offering to Pele, the volcano goddess of the island. Absolutely amazing place, folks. Incredible lava lake, like really spectacular stuff, bubbling lava, splashing 15 or 20 feet high in the middle of this lava lake. Absolutely spectacular landscape around it. Lots and lots of lava, of course. Very blackened landscape. A lot of it looks like Mordor, simply acres and upon acres of black rock everywhere from old lava flows. Absolutely incredible place. Also went out and had a bit of a commune with the whales out in the ocean, which was quite spectacular. Beautiful creatures out there splashing around off the coast of the Big Island. It was an absolutely wonderful couple of days. And it's been really good to spend a couple of weeks here just meeting people and greeting people and having some constructive conversations and getting to see the island a little bit. And I'm here for another 3 weeks, so I'm looking forward to that. I should actually be able to get some relaxation time in, which is a rare thing for me. But it has been really good being here, and I'd like to send out a bit of a shout to the people that have been here and shared this space with me. Samuel, Philomena, Ryan, Miley, Jason and Jason, Leah, and of course Michael and Gillian, who run the place that I'm staying at. It really has been a wonderful week with all of these people here on the Big Island in Hawaii. And it's just been great to see people wanting to participate in jungle medicines. It's a good thing to see people having these realizations of the benefits that can come by using jungle medicines. They really have made a remarkable difference in my life, and they have in the lives of everybody that I know who has gone down that path. Most of the people here at the workshop, it was their very first time trying any jungle medicines, and it was remarkable that they chose Kambo as their first medicine to form a relationship with, because Kambo is in fact quite a intense medicine. You don't get the visuals, or very often you don't get the visual stimulation that you do with other plant medicines such as ayahuasca. Very often Kambo is quite an uncomfortable experience for people. Though there was one person in the group who did have quite a visual experience, which was quite amazing to see. And it was interesting that 2 people who participated in the Kambo ceremony actually had their eyes change colour during the ceremony. And not just during the ceremony, folks, their eyes actually changed colour and they stayed that colour. And this is quite remarkable, and this shows an incredible amount of removal of toxins from people's body. And it was wonderful to witness this sort of stuff, and wonderful to share in the experience with people, and a great honour that people would have chosen to come and share their first jungle medicine experience with me. And admittedly, jungle medicines may not be for everybody, and there are some people who have had quite a hard time after participating in jungle medicines, inasmuch as there are many people who have had a great deal of difficulty reintegrating back into society after coming and spending time in the Amazon and drinking ayahuasca. And really this isn't surprising, folks. I mean, when you drink ayahuasca and when you reconnect with the earth in the jungle, it is quite a profound experience. It really is. And it becomes very difficult for people to re-enter the matrix after experiencing such a journey. I've had people say to me, well, ayahuasca doesn't seem to affect people very well. I've seen a lot of people have very, very difficult lives after drinking ayahuasca, and so I don't believe this medicine is good. And I've asked them what has been difficult about these people's lives, and they've said it's the reintegration back into society. Many people become very uncomfortable living in the social constructs that we have constructed for ourselves after drinking the medicine. And this is no surprise, folks. It really shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. As Judy Krishnamurti once said, it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And that's what people discover once they drink ayahuasca. They go back to New York or wherever they're going back to, LA, London, wherever it is, and they realize just how detrimental the society is that they live in. and how anti-life and anti-human our societies have become. And they really have, folks, in every possible way that you can imagine. There are so many things about Western civilization which are designed to disconnect and dehumanize people. Just the fact that we're all packed into these concentrated pockets of civilization is bad enough. But then you look at all the stuff that's done to us in the meantime, the electromagnetic soup that we're swimming in, the social standards that we are forced to adhere to, the education we're subject to, and more recently, even the advent of things such as social media, which is designed to very much disconnect us. And it's quite insidious the way this works, folks. It kind of works to emotionally disconnect us. You know, when you receive likes on Facebook or YouTube or any of these other social media platforms, it actually releases dopamine in your brain. And when you don't receive likes, it has the opposite effect and actually causes depression. There's been studies that have proven this to be true. And there are many people who measure their lives by the amount of likes they receive on Facebook and Instagram. And it's very, very debilitating for the human condition and is causing widespread trauma in young people around the world. The kids are really feeling this, folks. It's really becoming a thing for them, and it's really affecting their lives. And this is just one of the methods that is used to disconnect us from ourselves, along with the smart grid, our mobile phones, all of this AI grid that we are surrounded by. All of this stuff has incredibly detrimental effects on the human psyche. And plant medicine often awakens people to the reality that they're living in, and that is why they do have such an incredibly difficult time reintegrating back into society. The amount of people who do return trips to the ayahuasca retreats and the amount of people who want to volunteer to come and work there as well shows just how much people want to get out of society. And once people do have this connection, I mean, this is why a lot of people want to go back and work at these retreats, because they see the need for people to experience this medicine, to reconnect with the earth, because the danger of them not reconnecting with the earth is really profound. I mean, we are destroying our habitat, folks, and plant medicines can often alert people to this fact, and they can often rediscover the connection they have to the earth and want to do something about it. You know, many people who drink ayahuasca and experience jungle medicines, other jungle medicines as well, such as San Pedro, Wachuma, Iboga, all sorts of things that people do experience, it often very much reconnects them to the earth and reconnects them to their true self, and they see the utter detriment of continuing to participate in the social systems that we live in, and that is why a lot of people have a hard time reintegrating. So it's not really the medicines, folks. It's just the fact that people wake up to the fact that reality is not what it should be and that they've been scammed for their whole life. I mean, this can happen to people simply from smoking weed as well. If they haven't smoked before, they can get a full download and have a look around them and go, oh my God, what am I swimming in? And want to change the world. So whether this is detrimental or whether it's beneficial, I would suggest that observation is one for you to decide upon yourself. But really, my observations indicate that these medicines are highly beneficial for people to experience, because I really don't think society is beneficial. Really looking at the world today, folks, I don't think it's really done a great deal of good for the earth, and I don't think it's done a great deal of good for the human condition. In fact, I think we could come up with something far better than the social systems we've constructed for ourselves, or that we've allowed to be constructed anyway. And ayahuasca and plant medicines can help wake people up to this reality. So I think that's a good thing. Another reason is that we are fast losing the Amazon rainforest, folks. And that's one of the reasons that the shaman have actually come out of the forest to bring these medicines to people, because they understand that Western culture is quite literally destroying the habitat that we live in. And if they do not alert Westerners to the fact that this medicine exists, then we may well lose this medicine. And that would be a great tragedy, folks, if we lost some of the incredible plant medicines that are available in the jungle just through our own negligence. Because if we do lose touch with these medicines, we are very, very unlikely to ever rediscover them. I mean, the way these medicines have been discovered over the centuries by the people who live in the forest is really quite remarkable when you hear their stories. And it's very unlikely that we will go down that path again and ever rediscover these things if they are lost. And so it's very, very important that people learn this way and learn the other cultures that exist in this world. I mean, Western culture really is not the be-all and end-all, folks. I mean, just because we have technology and we have big TVs and mobile phones and all the benefits we have that go with this technology does not mean that our society has the answer to everything. Indeed, some of the answers are found in the old ways, and we are in a great deal of danger of losing these old ways forever. And it's very important that people pay attention to this. Well, I think it is anyway. And so do the people in the jungle, which, as I said, is why they have come forth and brought these medicines to the world. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with ayahuasca, it's a potion that is created by mixing two plants, the kapi vine or soul vine and the shikuna tree. The shikuna tree, the leaves of the shikuna tree hold reasonable quantities of DMT. And folks, DMT, dimethyltryptamine, is a substance which is naturally occurring in the body. They believe it is produced in the spine and it is distributed around your body via the pineal gland. We are supposed to have a lot more active in our body than what we do have, but it is active in our body anyway. If we didn't have DMT active in our body, we wouldn't dream, we wouldn't be able to see in color. It is something that we use all the time. The problem is that we are supposed to have a lot more active than what we do have. And this is due to our pineal gland becoming calcified very early in our life, generally due to fluoride and the many toxins that we're fed through our diet. The processed diet that we're fed in Western cultures is very, very detrimental to any type of spiritual or emotional growth in the species, and I'm sure that's why they do it. But dimethyltryptamine, DMT, is a naturally occurring substance, and this is what is found in vast abundance in the leaves of the shikuna tree. It's found in other plants as well, such as acacia in Australia, but in the jungle in the Amazon, it is the shikuna tree where they find the DMT, and that is what is used in the preparation of the ayahuasca brew. And the other ingredient that I mentioned is the kapi vine, and the kapi or soul vine contains an MOI inhibitor, which allows the DMT to work in your body and last longer than 5 or 10 minutes, the way it does when people consume DMT on its own. It's quite remarkable that they would have found these two plants and known to mix them together. There's also a female spirit that lives in the kapi vine, and people may say, oh, this is just voodoo nonsense, but it's not, folks. It's true. There is a female spirit that inhabits the kapi vine, which will guide you through the ceremonial process. And it's quite a remarkable thing that they discovered this medicine, and it's quite remarkable the visions and the insights that you can have from taking this medicine. What it does is it actually brings your pineal gland online and allows you to see outside visible light and very often to see into the spirit realm, where you can commune with your ancestors and all sorts of other beings that are around the place. And again, folks, this may sound strange, but this is just the way it works. You know, we are experiencing such a small bandwidth of reality, and we are able to experience a great deal more of it when we consume medicines such as ayahuasca. And that is one of the benefits of consuming this medicine, or visiting with this medicine, should I say. You really can receive a lot of not only physical, but also spiritual and emotional healing. You can find a lot of healing from a lot of baggage you've been carrying throughout your life, even ancestral baggage that you may be carrying from stuff that your parents and grandparents were carrying around. You can find healing for a lot of this and closure for a lot of things in your life where you've perhaps felt that you were harmed in some way, or perhaps you went wrong in some way. It's very, very revealing, and it's certainly good at revealing the inner parts of your personality to yourself as well. You know, it peels away the layers of your personality like an onion and shows you the real you that exists beneath the surface, very often the you that you don't want to look at and refuse to see. It can show you the shadow that exists within yourself, which helps you understand why this shadow exists in others and what steps need to be taken to heal this shadow as it has so manifest in the world today. And that's very beneficial, folks. These sorts of things are very liberating and very revealing, and they can give you the tools that you need to be able to navigate this life and navigate this world with some degree of confidence. And it can very much help you understand the enemies that you are working against as well, and what sort of forces are influencing you in your life, and what sort of forces you are allowing to influence you in your life, what sort of things you can do to improve your life, what sort of steps you can take to perhaps change the type of lifestyle you're living not to let these forces in. You find that most of the damage that we experience in our lives and most of the difficulties we experience in our lives are in fact things we bring on ourselves simply by the way we interact with the field and the way we interact with the world that we live in. I mean, sure, there are people who are simply born into bad situations, but for most people, we do really have the world at our fingertips to do what we want with, and it's our mistaken views of ourselves that very often hold us back. It's the way we perceive ourselves. We don't really look at ourselves properly, and we are often not particularly honest with ourselves. Very often we are our own worst enemies, and we are what is holding us back in everything we're attempting to achieve in this world. And ayahuasca can very much help with removing these blockages from people, and that's a very good thing. And as I said earlier, the spirit of the ayahuasca vine is actually a female spirit. Ayahuasca is considered to be the head of the female pantheon of plant spirits that exist in the forest. There are other spirits as well, which are male spirits. There's female and male, of course. And these plant spirits are all considered to be allies and spirits that will guide you through your life, guide you through your spiritual journey. Again, it's not the be-all and end-all. I mean, you don't just receive a massive amount of healing from drinking ayahuasca. It's how you apply the information to your life, as with everything. That's what it's always about, folks. Lady Ayahuasca will reveal to you parts of yourself that you generally don't really want to look at. But she won't just fix them for you. As with everything else, it is up to you to apply the information to your life, and it is up to you to make the changes that have been recommended to you. This journey is a solo journey, folks. We are on this path on our own completely. There is no one here who can walk your path for you. There may be people who can offer you guidance, but no one can lead you to where you need to be except for yourself. And very often it is our unwillingness to do this which creates all the problems in our lives. And it's our need to look for other people to guide us. It's our need for spiritual gurus to come along and lead us to safety, rather than realizing that all they can really offer you is words and perhaps gentle advice on how they achieve the journey themselves and how they manage to get where they have on their path. But ultimately, that is their path. You can't apply their path to your life and expect it to work. All you can do is maybe extract some gems of wisdom from it and learn how to apply yourself to your own path, because ultimately that's what it's all about. This is an individual journey, and these plant medicines can very much help people taking this journey. As I said, ayahuasca is a very, very revealing medicine to take. It can be quite brutal and show you stuff about yourself that you really don't want to know. But once she's shown you that, she's quite okay with it. It doesn't matter if you messed up and did all these bad things. Now you know how it was and what you did. It's up to you to make the changes. And your reality can start right from this point. You can make changes in your life right now. And you can change the world that you're living in and change the path that you're on right now. And your life can begin right now. Anybody can make this choice, folks. It doesn't matter what you did. It matters what you do from this point forth, now that you know where these mistakes came from and know what the mistakes are that you made. And ultimately, most of the bad stuff we do, folks, unless we're psychopaths, generally it's from mistakes. It's from programming. It's from our simple non-comprehension or non-realization of what reality actually is. Now, when we're in this position, we tend to mess up. It's just a natural part of the human cycle, folks, and messing up is how we learn. We shouldn't be afraid to make mistakes. It's not bad making mistakes. Making mistakes is how you learn. It's when you refuse to learn from those mistakes and you don't apply these new understandings to the world that all the problems ensue. So don't be beating yourself up over messing up sometimes or whatever mistakes you may have made in your path, and don't be afraid to make mistakes, folks. Just be sure to learn from these mistakes and view them as the opportunities that they are. And plant medicines can very much help with this. And like I have really seen some people have some absolutely amazing experiences on ayahuasca. I've seen people completely change their lives with just drinking once. They've only had to take the medicine once and they've made major changes in their lives. And anything can happen. You just never know what sort of an experience you're going to have. The problem is that many people read testimonials, they go online, they look at videos, they look at all sorts of things to prepare themselves for what their ceremony may be, because it's quite a scary thing for a lot of people. The whole thought of taking ayahuasca seems to be quite scary for a lot of people. It's a big step into another world for them. And so they tend to study up on it and look at testimonials from other people. And these testimonials tend to affect what their journey is, because they go in there with expectations. And you don't really know what to expect, folks, because you may get anything. She may take you in a completely different direction every time you drink. I have seen some incredible experiences, though. I saw one girl go into ceremony, and during the ceremony, all she could do was scream. She could not stop screaming, and she was disturbing the entire room. We took her out into the back room to try to get her to stop screaming and to find out what her problem was. And the issue was that she had connected with the spirits of the whales in the ocean, and she could feel the pain of the whales. She could feel what we were doing to them. She could hear their whale song in ceremony. And she only drank that once, and the next day she left the retreat and went to join Greenpeace and become an ocean activist and go out and save the whales. She figured that that's what her life path was, and she developed this incredible passion for it in ceremony. And she'd never even been an ocean person before that. She'd never been out on a boat. She was not someone that was into the oceans, but she just realized how much we needed to protect the life in the sea. And that's what she got from ceremony. She's changed her life, and now she works for Greenpeace. So you can have these incredible insights and these life paths unfold for you, and it may be something that is not what you expected at all. And I've seen this happen with more than one person during ayahuasca ceremonies. Another man came to stay at the retreat, very, very successful businessman, had worked his whole life and had created an amazingly abundant reality for himself, but all he did was work. That was what he did all the time. He came to ceremony, he drank once, and he realized that he had to stop working. He didn't need to work anymore. He was working for his family, but his family was missing out on him because he was working so much. He had all the money he needed to get through life, and so he went home, he sold all of his businesses, paid off all of his debts, and allowed his wife to pursue the art career she'd always wanted to pursue, and became a house husband. And I saw him online a couple of months ago, and he showed me his new business card, and it has father written on it. And I thought that was a wonderful thing as well. And that was another man who just drank once and said, "Oh my God, I've discovered my life's path," and went home the next day and changed his world. And by changing his world, he also changed the life of his entire family, and it changed it for the better. So you can achieve these incredible insights by communing with jungle medicines, folks. Another substance that is often used in the jungle and very much shares space with ayahuasca and other plant medicines is mupacha tobacco. Tobacco may seem like quite an evil thing for people, folks, but tobacco really is not an evil thing at all. It's actually quite a strong and healing medicine if used in the right way. The problem with tobacco is what the West has done to it. Of course, we've taken tobacco, we've refined it, we've added all sorts of toxic chemicals and carcinogens to it, and we've turned it into a cancer-causing agent when it is something very different when found in the jungle. The black mupacha tobacco that is found in the Amazon is a very, very healing and very protective medicine. It's also used to make certain varieties of snuff, known as rapé, which is very much consumed in the forest and is very much used in conjunction with ayahuasca and other medicines. Rapé can produce a state of almost instant meditation in people. It very much focuses the mind, puts one right in the now, and is very, very beneficial. It can be quite calming. Of course, it can be abused like any tobacco medicine. You can form a bit of a close relationship with it if you're not careful, and it can become something that you can abuse. But if used in the right way, it's a very, very productive and very healing and very calming, very grounding medicine to use. And I actually use rapé quite often. I always use it in conjunction with ceremony. I also use it in conjunction with any kambo ceremonies that I conduct as well. Kambo, of course, is a different medicine altogether. Kambo is frog venom. This is not exactly a plant medicine, folks, but it is a jungle medicine. And rapé is also very beneficial in kambo ceremonies. You can actually get rape online. You can buy it from certain places that will sell it to you. It's legal in all countries, as is Kambo, and it's something that I recommend people try. It may be a little bit like snorting pepper at first. It's a little bit of a shock to the system, but it can be very grounding and very revealing and a very, very healing medicine to use. And again, folks, it may seem strange to people to hear me talking about tobacco being a healing medicine of any kind, but the fact is that it is quite healing, folks. In fact, I know someone who smoked a Mupacha cigarette in my house recently, and they found that their asthma cleared up. They had a bit of a tight chest because they're a smoker of tailor-made cigarettes, and they were looking for a cigarette, and I said, well, the only tobacco I've got is that Mupacha Maso roll there, which I can slice a little bit off the end, and you can roll yourself a cigarette if you want. And I did it, and as I said, it actually cleared their airways for them. So it is quite a healing medicine, and the rape or shamanic snuff that is made from Mupacha is a very, very healing and very, very grounding medicine that is often used in conjunction with other medicines during ceremony. You'll find Mupacha at Ayahuasca ceremonies always. You'll very often find it at Wachuma or San Pedro ceremonies. You'll find it during Kambo ceremonies. During Ayahuasca, the shaman will smoke Mupacha all the time, and they will blow the Mupacha smoke over the other people in ceremony just to protect them from anything that may be around and just to clear anything that's in the room. They find smoke to be a very, very cleansing substance, and they use smoke in all of their rituals. It's really quite a sacred thing in the forest to use smoke for cleansing. But folks, I think we've reached break time now, so I have to leave it here for now, and we'll go and have a break. Thank you for joining me on the air today. I'll be back to speak to you a little bit more in a few minutes. Thanks for listening. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As I mentioned before the break, ayahuasca is the head of the female pantheon of plant spirits in the forest. The head of the male pantheon is Wachuma, and the Wachuma medicine is made from the San Pedro cactus. Many people just refer to this medicine as San Pedro, but the name of the spirit that inhabits the San Pedro cactus is Wachuma, and that is the male spirit which you can commune with by consuming Wachuma. Wachuma is a very, very different medicine to ayahuasca. Traditionally, ayahuasca is taken during the nighttime, and Wachuma is taken during the daytime. Wachuma is not as visual as ayahuasca, but you can obtain some very, very deep personal insights from communing with this medicine. It's a very long journey. Ayahuasca is a journey which will last, the intense part will last possibly 2 hours, and then there will be probably 4 to 6 hours of leveling down to normal, whereas Wachuma will be 16 to 17 hours of being fully in the medicine. It's a slow build-up to a point, and then gradually, very, very gradually, will slow down from there. But it's about a 17-hour journey, so it's quite a all-day thing. You'll find that you'll traditionally drink Wachuma around about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and you'll still be feeling the effects at midnight that night. So it's not anything for the faint-hearted. But again, it's not as visual as ayahuasca, and it's not as debilitating as ayahuasca in as much as you're able to move around while you're in the Wachuma medicine. You're able to kind of wander around the hilltops and experience the forest and experience the sky and just experience reality quite comfortably. Whereas during an ayahuasca ceremony, for the first couple of hours, you're generally going to be lying on your back with a blanket over you, having some quite intense visual experiences. So it is quite a different medicine. Both Wachuma and ayahuasca can, however, be very effective and very beneficial in helping people deal with addictions, such as alcohol or drug addictions, perhaps not physical drug addictions such as heroin addictions, but certainly with alcohol addictions or perhaps someone who's got a little bit of a weed habit or something like that. It can be very, very beneficial in helping people look within themselves deep enough to see the damage they are doing to themselves by supporting these addictions. And very often you find that these addictions are the result of what are almost entities that have caught onto people, energetic forces that have a life of their own that are kind of clinging onto people and causing these addictions to continue and to maintain. I've had experiences in ayahuasca ceremonies where I've been purging, like vomiting from my mouth, but nothing's been coming out. But energy has been coming out, and I've felt like I was purging entities that were latched onto me. And that is also highly beneficial, and that can be experienced in both ayahuasca and Wachuma ceremonies. But if you really want to deal with an addiction completely and get rid of something like heroin addiction, there are also medicines such as iboga, which is considered to be the grandfather of plant medicines. Iboga is not found in South America, such as many of the other jungle medicines. It actually originates in Africa. But it is a very, very intense medicine, and the journey on iboga can last anywhere from 36 to 72 hours. And it is one that is certainly not for the faint-hearted. I haven't actually experienced an iboga ceremony myself. I just don't think I'm ready for it. And that's the thing. If you question whether you really want to do it or not, then you're not ready for it. And that's just the way it is with iboga. Iboga can completely immerse you into the spirit realm. And there have been people that have gone into iboga ceremonies with full-on heroin addictions and have come out of the ceremony 3 days later completely addiction-free and completely pain-free. They haven't gone through any of the withdrawal symptoms or anything that they would need to go through normally to combat a heroin addiction. And they're certainly not on methadone or any of the other incredibly debilitating drugs that the government will put you on under the pretext of curing you from your heroin addiction. Substances such as methadone are in fact far, far worse for the body than heroin, and it's absolutely ludicrous that the government would even consider putting people on such things when you've got a substance like iboga, which can effectively deal with addictions straight up with no harmful effects whatsoever. There's many people that have found cure for their addictions through iboga, and I believe there are several iboga retreats around the world. I believe there's quite a reputable one in Ecuador and in other places around the world. So if you are someone who is suffering from addiction, or you know someone who is, then I would highly recommend looking into the benefits of iboga. The other medicine that I am very familiar with, and one that I serve myself, is the one that I mentioned earlier, and that is kambo, which is the frog venom. I have developed a particular relationship with this medicine. I found it to be incredibly healing. When I had a kambo ceremony a couple of years ago, I'd had meningitis about 12 months previously. Very, very debilitating illness, and meningitis takes a very, very long time for you to recover from. And after having it for like a year, you kind of forget that you've got this illness, and it just becomes your new normal. And I just thought, well, I'm getting old, I'm run down, that's just the way it is. And then I did a kambo ceremony, and the amount of healing I got from it was so profound that I actually had to go and learn how to serve this medicine. It's an absolutely amazing medicine, but it is not a pretty medicine to serve. It doesn't give you visuals or deep insights the way ayahuasca or Wachuma does. Although it can be, there are some people who do have incredible visual experiences on kambo. I've actually had someone have incredible visual experiences on it just in the last week that I've been serving it. But generally, it's actually very purgative, causes you very often to swell up like a frog and to really vomit your stomach out for 30 or 40 minutes. That's really what it's about. It's about cleaning toxins out of your body. And it's really a remarkable medicine. It comes from a frog, which is actually the most toxic frog in the rainforest, a giant green tree frog. And when I say giant, this is actually quite a small frog, folks, but for green tree frogs, it's quite big. So it's referred to as the giant green tree frog, even though it's really just a normal-sized frog. But it's quite a toxic venom and a very, very potent venom. And what it does, folks, you actually burn holes in people's skin and you scrape off the epidermis to expose the dermis, and you pack the venom straight onto the dermis, which puts the venom directly into the lymph system of the body, directly into the muscular system. It goes into the muscular system and it bonds with the dioxins and heavy metals that you've got in your body, and it pulls them into your bloodstream, and your immune system kind of freaks out at that point and drops it all into your stomach, and you purge the whole lot up. It's very, very intense. It can be an extremely uncomfortable experience, but it's very, very invigorating and will supercharge your immune system. I haven't seen anybody who's done a kambo ceremony who hasn't come away with very, very beneficial results. It's actually quite a
So, So he's talking about other jungle medicines, and I just kept it going because there was some where it was talking about like the male version of the experience, and other things. Again, this was only 35 minutes in. There's still 19 more minutes left in the video. If you would like to go ahead and watch the rest of the video, it's in the link in the description box. I'm gonna move on, and I'm actually adding another one. For YouTubers, you can actually go ahead and see the link in the description. If you're not on YouTube, you can watch this one, and this one I feel it's pertinent because he talks about meeting the lady in his DMT trip report. This is Shaman Oaks in April 13th, 2016. It's called DMT Trip Report Part 1, Meeting the Lady.
So what made me do it for the first time? There is a book called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. Dr. Rick Strassman, a clinical psychiatrist, injected people with pure DMT, and all these crazy stories of people getting shot out of their body and seeing aliens or visiting God. And I highly recommend you reading it or listening to it like I did on Audible. I will link to it in the description if you want to check it out. But it's really cool, very interesting. My first DMT experience was with Changa. Changa is when you dissolve DMT into a liquid and you put it on a different herb and you smoke that herb. I thought this would be an easier way to go about doing DMT for the first time, and I think it was, but DMT, no matter how you do it, is crazy. It is life-changing. You're gonna go somewhere else, you're gonna see some other beings, you're gonna communicate, you're gonna learn stuff. It's pretty ridiculous. This is the story. So I'm sitting on my friend's bed, holding the bong, take a couple big rips, don't really feel anything. But my friend was like, okay, so this is our first time. He had never done it, I had never done it, so we're gonna be safe. So he takes the bong away from me, I close my eyes, I lay down on the bed. It's really crazy, because as soon as you close your eyes, it's like you open them someplace else. It's just as real as here. I was in what looked to me like a tanning bed. If you ever seen a tanning bed and how they're vertical lights, that's the way it looked like, except the lights were horizontal and they were colored. They were white, yellow, pink, and orange. And they were all curved. I could see all the way down my body. Then I felt this female presence. It was kind of like a white ball, misty thing. And she was right up here to my right. And she was just hovering there, and she could sense my excitement. I'm like, I want to get blasted out of my body. Like, I'm communicating, like, I want to go, I want to get blasted. And she was like, relax, it's cool, you're gonna go, but not yet. I need to prep you for this. I need to prep you for this journey. She takes one of the lights and it curves, like there's no hands or anything, but I can tell that she's doing it. One of the lights curves off of the arch and then starts touching me on the side of my face. And I can feel the warmth, and it kind of radiates through my face, and she just moves it and just kind of goes down my neck, and it's very soothing, very comforting, but also kind of sensual in a way. She starts blowing on the sides of my neck, just again, very sensual, very relaxing, very cosmic day spa-y. That's the way I have best to describe it, is that I'm in a cosmic day spa. I'm at this place where I need to relax and I need to get ready because I'm about to go on some wild-ass journey. At one point, all these little yellow elves or gnomes run up all along the side of me and just start massaging my legs. So it was very cool. They looked like kind of like a garden gnome, but they were blockier and just pure yellow. At one point, as I'm laying there, the lights above me evaporate and I can see the night sky. I can see stars, galaxies, and I feel this pressure come from the middle of my back that pushes me up from the bed. And I feel like, oh, this is it. I'm gonna get blasted out. I'm gonna get blasted out of my body. Here it comes. And it pushes me up and goes, and I just sank back into the bed. Have you ever seen an 18-wheeler or a bus and they pull up and they let out the hydraulics and it kind of goes, that's the way it was. And I immediately knew what that meant. So I popped up out of bed, opened my eyes, talked to my friend across the room, and I said, I need more. And he's like, well, relax. I need to make sure, I'm going to research on the internet, make sure you can take more before, and we'll figure it out when you're done. I'm like, okay, cool. That's very important. Don't just go do anything for the first time without researching it. Look on YouTube. There's plenty of stuff online. We have so much shit that's available. Do your research. Don't just do anything for the first time without knowing what you're doing. So I close my eyes and she starts showing me around this cosmic day spa. There's different buildings, there's different entities around, there's, you know, little things flying in the air. It's very soothing. Nothing like this world, but at the same time I'm kind of agitated because I want to get going. I want to get blasted. I want to experience all the shit that I've read about and heard about. We fly around for a bit and eventually it just kind of fades away. And I wake up and I sit up in the bed and I was like, can I do more? I need to do more. And he was like, you can't do more. We need to wait 10-15 minutes and we'll get to go again. So that was my first experience with DMT. My second experience was that exact same night, but 10-15 minutes later, it's life-changing. This is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me is going to be in the second video. Sorry to leave you a cliffhanger, but I want to make sure I put enough video to it and music and make it as cool as I can to try to get the visuals across that I can. And this information is really important. People need to know what else is out there. It really helps you look at the world in a much better way. You stop looking at the world so superficially and you start seeing, I just don't even know what, because you smoke it, you'll get answers, but you'll also get a lot more questions. It is the craziest thing you can do. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for leaving comments on the videos. I really enjoy reading them. And until next time, keep fighting that good fight.
Shaman Oaks, exploring the rabbit hole.
So if you want to watch what happens in the second video of his, you can go on ahead. I want to move to the last piece before we can open it up for, I mean, it's already open. We're just not talking about it. Plus, no one seems to come on. So this is about 30 minutes, almost 33 minutes, and this is Quantum of Science. Matt, he's going to talk about someone else's experience in 30 minutes, talking about Beyond the Veil channel, and they did something pretty much specific.
Okay, imagine right now you are in your body and you put on a VR headset. But it's not just projecting over your eyes. Now what's happening is that your consciousness is being transferred from your body into the virtual reality realm. The only thing that's real in this virtual reality realm is the consciousness that's inside of us, the organic consciousness. The body, the chakras, and again, I was just saying in the chat, people don't like to hear this, but everything is part of the machine. The AI isn't bad. It was infected with virus. It's just like if your computer is infected with the virus. Your computer's not bad. You didn't build your computer or buy your computer for nefarious reasons. Mm-hmm. You didn't.
Hey guys, Matt. Let me try to break down 3 years of the Chris Geo Beyond the Veil channel in about 30 minutes, if I can. The reason I'm doing this is because he had this last-minute emergency trip where he just had to go to Egypt about 6 weeks ago. Chris and Cherie Geo of Beyond the Veil, and haven't watched, and I had some time today and I tuned into his channel. It's been a long time. Is he back from Egypt? And oh boy, I mean, some of the information is just I don't know what to make of it. If any of it's true, it's the most important information one human being has ever told to another. So it's worth paying attention to right now, at least, and it's worth exploring. So I'm going to basically give a Cliff Notes version of the Chris Geo channel Beyond the Veil for 3 years, right up through his videos back from Egypt. One of the reasons I'm doing this, his videos where he does like a little podcast or radio show with his wife, or 3 hours each. I mean, I'm just saying it would take you 30 hours of watching to, if you like the channel, to get what I'm going to deliver via this Cliff Notes, if I break it down and explain it correctly. That being said, no, I'm not bowing down that Chris Geo has now broken the code of this matrix reality and we're all saved. And of course, I always will reserve the right to put on the glasses of the skeptic. You know, whatever's real or whatever's not real will be revealed. Can't be hidden from us, you and I. We've seen too much over the years. Okay, we've seen too much. So I will say that it is better to comment on this video at the very end. It really is. Because some of what I'm going to tell you about his belief set and information that he's bringing back with him from Egypt is so over the top, so bizarre, that it's just, it'll sound crazy coming from me delivering the Cliff Notes version. Cliff Notes, whatever it is. It sounds more believable coming from him and his wife Cherie Geo, because they seem like very believable people. No, they don't seem like a bunch of charlatans or people out to hoodwink you for money or people making up stories. They don't seem that way, okay? So all I'm saying is, what I'm going to say to you is it'll sound bizarre coming from me because I didn't have the experience. I'm not going to communicate it with any passion. So just keep that in mind, because it will sound ridiculous coming from me. Okay. Nevertheless, my job is to deliver the Cliff Notes. This is what I think, and I'm pretty sure I'm interpreting his position correctly. I've watched enough over the months and years. I don't think he'd probably find one thing in my presentation of his belief set where he would say, Matt, you're getting this completely wrong. I'm not going to guess on any of this. This is where this guy's coming from. So let me just start. This will be about 15 minutes. And again, this is where he's coming from. Don't take anything out on me here. This is just Cliff Notes for anybody that wants it. Because what he's reporting now, coming back from Egypt, is I don't know, beyond big, beyond monumental. Okay, but I can't just say it now. It'll sound nuts. I got to give you the background. Okay, here we go. 3 years. I'm going to do the 3 years prior to the trip to Egypt. I'll try to do in about 8 minutes. Here goes. Chris Geo is a matrix illusion simulation reality guy. To him, this is an AI world. Nothing is real. We are what he calls raw consciousness or immortal consciousness, having an existence inside of an avatar body. Avatar body associated with the matrix of this world. We've all heard this theme before. We've all heard the next theme before. At some point, thousands of years ago, tens of thousands of years ago, whatever, there was some sort of parasite that made its way into our petri dish to hijack the AI. A malevolent part of the AI, or a virus of some kind. Now this is consistent with when we turn on the news or observe our reality or politics or the state of the world. Something's fucking it up. So, okay, I'm interested. I keep watching. So, but there is no Christian anything in where he's coming from. Zero. We are all raw consciousness, immortal beings of spirit that likely have always existed. Who created this matrix, I don't know, but we incarnated here to have an experience. It's completely artificial. It was hijacked, or some sort of parasite got in here a long time ago and started to fuck things over. Okay, that's where he's basically coming from. The last part of that I didn't mention is we've been here hundreds or thousands or more lifetimes recycling right back, boom, boom, boom. Basically no way out. Up till now. That's kind of the big news. Up till now. It's bizarre, but let me lay the foundation. So, how does Chris Geo know all of this? And about half of you will be interested in this. The other half will roll your eyes like, oh boy. He does DMT ayahuasca. Okay. Now, the only thing I can say, I tend to want to roll my eyes too. Like, so you start tripping out on drugs, all these weird creatures start popping up, you start walking with gods, flying up into your astral body, and you're on drugs, but you now have a complete insight into reality. I'm skeptical of it too. Okay. But I've got to put all the pieces together here. No typing. If you don't agree with, just wait. All right. So, so I'm skeptical of it, but I'm going to try to balance the argument here. Play the prosecuting attorney and the defense attorney here as in one presentation. There's a lot of really smart people that I've come across over the years that do give a pretty good testimony that a DMT or an ayahuasca experience is some sort of insight to reality. Again, I've just seen too many people that I consider to be pretty sharp talk about it in a way that resonates. I'm pretty good at seeing through people, as are you. We didn't just fall off the turnip truck. Not too many people are just going to come and easily pull the wool over Matt's eyes. So a lot of smart people, going back to Don Juan, Carlos Castaneda, all that stuff. Okay, there's a reason the Indians do it. I respect the Native American Indian culture, the peyote, whatever. It's possible. Okay. The way they would describe it is not LSD and the man-made ones, the CIA man-made ones, but the real plants, the ones of nature, mostly DMT and ayahuasca. When we're watching the beginning of the Matrix movie, it just looks like green cascading code and a bunch of nonsense, and you're on the DMT, boom, you can read it. You can read it or you can see right through it. That's what they say. I'm open-minded. The wise man's open-minded. So have I have any interest in doing those sorts of trips right now? Or absolutely not. I've never done it, and I have no plans to do it. So if you come to me and say, if someone were describing who this guy Chris Geo was for me and say his insights into reality is his experiences on drugs, that doesn't look, trust me, that doesn't resonate with me either. I go, really? No thanks. But again, I'm going to try to give it more credibility than I normally would, because of people that have had similar experiences, because of like the Native American culture, and one other aspect, because I've heard enough people over many, many years describe the same experience. So two people that are on a trip, you would say, did you see that thing? And the other person see, how are they sharing a reality? The other person says, yeah, I saw the exact same thing. Did you see its red ears? I'm just making this up. It's not all, three-headed bunnies, I guess they see on these trips. They see into the nature of reality as they would describe it. But the point is, people on separate trips are saying they're seeing the same things. Like if there's an entity standing in front of you now on another dimension, boom, now they can see it. It's right there. They both see the same thing. I've heard a lot of people talk about that over many, many years, and talk about it in a way where, do I think every single one that said they have the same experience, they're all in on it together, they're all laughing in the back room, they're all out to screw us? No, it doesn't. I've heard it enough where I'm starting to believe it to a degree. Okay. Yeah, I'm a skeptic. I mean, we grew up through fake events. I'm as big a skeptic as anybody, as you know. So, okay, summarize in Chris Geo again. This is an illusory reality. It's a matrix. At some point, some sort of parasite took over to corrupt it. He is seen into the nature of it through these ayahuasca trips. We do recycle back here over and over and over again. Some sort of similar to Saturn Moon Matrix recycling trap. He has no affinity whatsoever with any aspect of Christianity. Okay. Now, that's the basics. He goes off to Egypt. I will talk about his channel. I think it's TMR, his relationship to Kev Baker, and there's some things there I don't like. I'll get to that later. Goes off to Egypt, and basically is there, has said there was some sort of calling 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. They have to go to Egypt now. We might not get another chance. We need to go. He goes, Shuri Geo goes. They say Egypt itself, Cairo, is an absolute hellish pit. Trash, disgusting, but they're there to see the pyramids, get in the Great Pyramid, go to all the side pyramids, see the Sphinx, the Temple of Isis. So basically, I'll break down for you now the 7 hours of video talking about the trip to Egypt in about 7 minutes. All of seeing these smaller pyramids, Temple of Isis, was all in preparation in going into the Great Pyramid. They went into a lot of these temples, pyramids. They, believe to a degree, they both would say they have some sort of psychic ability, the resonance from touching the rocks, feeling of energy, feeling of aura. They talk about all of that. They did an ayahuasca experience inside the Temple of Isis, okay, where they, completely tripped out, saw again into the nature of reality. I won't get into the specifics. One of the only things worth noting is Shuri Geo was able to observe actual parasitic AI type illusory reality implants in her husband Chris that she removed somehow. Several in the brain, one on the heart or heart chakra. Now, when I heard that, I don't simply poo-poo it or I don't laugh it away. Everything's on the table with me, as you know at this point, because there's no normal way to explain this reality anymore. So I'm more interested in the abnormal explanations of reality. But I went right back to Star Trek Voyager. Matt, Chris, and Shuri Geo are making these stories up because they saw Star Trek Voyager. Maybe. I thought there's that episode in Voyager where there are these interdimensional aliens that can't be seen, and they're all putting these probes in the Enterprise, into Janeway, and all these, everybody's getting tired, they can't sleep, and the aliens are taking out probes and putting them in and doing all this stuff. And it was similar to the scene in The Matrix where they pull out that, whatever that, I don't know, there's like a bug inside Neo. Remember, they put that machine and they find it and they suck it out of his gut. So they would basically say, likely, many of us, or hopefully not all of us, have these sort of, I don't know, entity attachments, put it that way, which they describe more like devices. It's complicated, but there's no reason to go into the nitty-gritty details of what they say these things are. This is the Cliff Notes version. Okay, all of this is in preparation to going into the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid, to them, it's not a burial chamber, it's not a spiritual place, it is a machine, according to Chris and Shuri Geo. A machine where one can transcend consciousness, basically outside of this 3D realm or the avatar body, can either, I've always said it like connect to higher self, but they talked about more of pushing the machine, or being able to use the machine of the Great Pyramid to push consciousness up into the highest levels, where the original almost creation device of this artificial reality itself exists, or what they call the control panel of this entire artificial realm, which they say is on this 13th dimension or parallel. Okay, it's time to stop. I got it. I hear all your objections. I got it. Okay, now somebody's saying, so wait, what? So Matt, I appreciate the summary, but so this guy took an ayahuasca trip, got himself into the King's Chamber, or the whatever, the private tour of paid somebody off to get in privately in the King's Chamber at night, put himself in the sarcophagus, took an ayahuasca trip, and pushed his consciousness up the 13 dimensions, where he came upon the control panel of this reality itself. And I didn't even get to this part, saying he reset the control panel. I ain't watching this bullshit any freaking longer. Boom. I don't blame you. I got it. I understand how bizarre and strange and impossible and ridiculous that sounds. I got it. All I can tell you is that, yes, I'm skeptical, of course, but there's something about the presentation where it just does not appear to be a scheme to make money or made up or a bunch of charlatans or but somebody right now is saying to me, well, Matt, they believe the experience. They were on ayahuasca. And then after they reset the reality on drugs, they walk down the steps of the burial chambers with Papa Smurf and maybe Dopey from the Seven Dwarves, and they believe it. That those little creatures were all around them because they were whacked out on drugs. Maybe, but again, I'm a reality junkie. All I'm telling you is, let me back up and say, the reason I'm keeping this on the table is several reasons. All right, I've mentioned some of the reasons. One, there's not many other, no normal explanation of this reality makes sense anymore. They seem believable. They don't struggle for answers to questions like Neil Armstrong looking up, how will I answer this? How will I make up this answer? How will I make up this answer about how the moon felt? If you ask these two a question, boom, they answer it. They don't struggle to find an answer. Boom, they answer it. And again, somebody's saying, well, Matt, yeah, they had the experience, but they were whacked out on drugs. I got it. But the other reason I'm keeping this on table, the main reason, other than the fact that, I've been doing this a long time, investigating the nature of reality. I'm not somebody easily fooled. If you thought I was full of shit, you wouldn't come to this channel. I'm pretty legitimate. Never made a penny off YouTube. I don't think people are going to hoodwink me that easily. Okay, I'm not an expert at seeing through everybody, but even beyond that, I'm fallible. Maybe I am being hoodwinked and even entertaining these crazy stories. But you know what I know? Reality can't hide forever. Why shouldn't I keep it on the table? Because if there's any truth to it, it will become more real over time. If there's any truth to it. But if there isn't, and it's completely, and it's one of those things, if there's a little bit of truth to it, then it's pretty much all real. And if it's not real, it's not real. But if it's not real, can't keep this up. I mean, nobody can. Well, you and I can see through this shit. Maybe they fool me once, fool me twice, but they ain't going to keep fooling us. Reality will be revealed. So why shouldn't I keep it on the table? At the very least, it's really fascinating sci-fi that they both pull out on the fly. And I don't even mean to. I'm trying to be balanced here. I'm not trying to push their story or belittle their story. The wise man simply keeps it on the table, and that's where we should be. I'm just trying to fill people in case they want to check it out. I'm not pushing people over to his channel. Chris Geo's not trying to recruit me for another radio host for his TMR. I'm skeptical of TMR. I'll prove to you right now he's not trying to recruit me to do a show at TMR because I'm going to badmouth TMR right now, starting with a fraud, Kev Baker. Probably not the best job interview, Matt. It'd be bad-mouthing him. He's trying to recruit me if I'm going to say, well, Kev Baker show? I thought it was interesting. Talked about Mandela Effect, Freaky Friday. That was kind of interesting. Liked the Irish accents. Then after Manchester, the Ariana, was it Grande? Whatever concert. I couldn't tell you if it was a bang bang or a blow blow. One of those things happened, but it was bullshit. It was bullshit. We know it was bullshit immediately. The assailant was 22 years old. It happened at 22:10 Greenwich Mean Time, and there were 22 people injured. 22. We know it was bullshit. And Kev Baker comes in with his Irish accent. Welcome to the Kev Baker show. I can't do it. If I hear an Irish accent, I can do it. I can't do it on the fly. He says, let's conduct a moment of silence for the victims. Sorry, it's a horrible accent, I know. I said, moment of silence for the victims. And I said, maybe is he in on the deception? Or is he just too stupid to know it was all fake? Either way, I'm not watching this moron anymore. When I watch YouTube videos, I like to think whoever I'm watching is a little bit smarter than myself. So Kev Baker, I'm out. Same with, I don't think Richie Allen is associated with, no, he's not associated with, I want to say TMR, Truth Media Radio. I don't know what it is. Kev Baker show. I know Ra Castaldo. He seems legitimate to me. Every time I've watched Ra Castaldo, exploring the car or whatever. It's strange stuff. It seems legitimate. Doesn't seem like he's a Illuminati messenger who's in on it to deliver bad breadcrumbs. But Richie Allen is associated with David Icke, and same thing. Richie Allen would bring back Wolfgang Halbig, who was the only one left researching Captain Hook, the Connecticut event. So he would bring Wolfgang Halbig on. Like, this guy seems legitimate. Then after Manchester, same thing. Want to give a moment of silence, and our heart goes out to the victims. And I'm like, come on, no. I mean, it's so absurd. Manchester, it's one of their most absurd. For those that didn't follow it closely, there's actually they probably scrubbed it off YouTube archives, but there was that picture of there's a guy in like a Adidas jumpsuit. He's a father looking for his daughter or his son. He keeps calling Alan. And he's filming himself. It's the most ridiculous thing you'll ever see in your life. I don't think it exists anymore. They would have scrubbed it out. He's filming himself, like his camera's right under his face. So that's the view you see. And he's calling for his son in the concert. All the people are like pouring out after the bombing. Alan! Alan! And then he looks down at the camera, but it looks like, I'll show you, kind of looks into I'll do it into this one. He looks down, he keeps looking down, but he keeps looking into his own phone. Woo! Alan! I mean, it's the worst acting you'll ever see in your entire life. Some people watching this know what I'm talking about and laughing their ass off, probably. And then they've made memes where they every time he said Alan, that somebody made a meme where a gopher, they would go to a groundhog, or a gopher would pop up and yell Alan. Anyway, so Manchester's ridiculous. Okay, it could be. Well, no, there's been some more that are more ridiculous, but that one is completely fake. So, long story, but a nice break with the Manchester. That's why I abandoned Kev Baker and Richie Allen. And so, but I do like what Chris Geo says about this truth movement in general. And then after this, I will present something I really don't like about him. He says, I was on your hamster wheel, guys. I'm tired. I'm done with it. I'm tired of it. He'd say, like, kind of where I try to go at times, looking into the absolute very nature of reality itself. He'd say, I was on that wheel trying to break down these fake events and fake shootings, and he would say, that's where they want you. And we see that now. That's where they want us, making endless videos that create more anxiety and fear and I've been big enough to admit that the negative aspect of the route to truth where I came from, I was feeding the system exactly what it wanted. No doubt, making all those videos on 9/11, and somebody right now is saying to this video, well, Matt, if that's the case, why did they take down all the videos on the fake shootings? I don't know. Maybe I believe for years I was feeding them what they wanted me to do, playing right into their hands, running on the hamster wheel that they gave me. They dangled it to me, and I jumped right on the hamster wheel. Maybe we were, but nevertheless, I want to say that process is necessary to the wake-up process for many. You can't progress off that graduated animal farm unless you go through the graduated animal farms. So making 9/11 videos, I don't feel bad about what I did, even though in a way I feel I was giving the system what it wanted, because it was necessary stepping stone for me to progress. For me at least, maybe the reason they want us there is many people get caught up there with that hate and anger, and then they'll join a militia, and that's exactly what they want, and they want you sharpening torches, and they want you raising up your pitchfork, and we're going to get these guys, and that's why they create themselves as a boogeyman. So maybe they create that because everybody gets stuck there, and a few of us, and I feel like I got past that. But maybe the reason they take down all the videos now is we were almost too successful in kind of showing people, look, this is the way reality works. These events are all fake. So maybe they said, look, we didn't think it could get this out of control. We got to shut all these guys down. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But back to what I was saying, he would say, I was right there with you, and I'm beyond all that bullshit. So in that respect, I would say, the hamster wheel of the truth community that I saw, maybe just started to see about a year ago, I think he saw 2 or 3 years ago. So in that aspect, he was ahead of me, which, I have a little respect for that. So I'm not going to bother with that hamster wheel. I'm going to jump right to the very nature of reality itself. If you spend your life trying to figure out who George Bush reports to, that's a breadcrumb they lay for you on purpose, and you'll never get anywhere, and we know that by now. So he comes back from Egypt, and I guess I hope I touched on this earlier. It's kind of important. If not, I better mention it now, because I'm now all over the place. He says through the Great Pyramid, which is a machine, the Great Pyramid projects consciousness, and into the 13th dimension or layer of reality, he was able to find the actual machine or the keypad, or I don't know how he described it, the control panel of the reality creation machine, and basically was able to reset. I don't know what he said. Reset the artificial realities that puts a box around the parasite. I don't know how he said it, but the main point, or the most important point, if any of this is true, and some people right now are saying, Matt, he was tripping out on ayahuasca, I got that, is that we are not forced to recycle here anymore. We have the free will to leave this realm upon our death after 1,000 lifetimes or whatever. So I know what a lot of you are saying right now. So Matt, let me get this straight. I've watched your channel a long time. You watched a guy who believes on an ayahuasca trip, Matt, that he went up to the and I'm well aware of the problem with 13 as well. He went up to the 13th level of reality, a level of reality where the entity attachments in the grays can't ride the surfboard with him by himself, and was able to reset reality in a way where our souls are able to finally get out of here. Basically, if any of it's true, the most important information one human being has ever delivered to another. And Matt, he was on ayahuasca, tripped out, you buy it. No. I'm not saying I buy it. I'm delivering the information. And somebody's saying, well, it's so ridiculous, Matt. Why are you even delivering the information? Oh, I'm delivering the information for reasons I've mentioned. Number one being, I've watched this guy a while, and he does. I can sniff bullshit. I can sniff charlatans. I can sniff people that are just trying to scam us out of for whatever reason, for money, for negative frequency, loosh, whatever. Chris and Cherie Geo seem legitimate. I can't see any shenanigans. They either believe everything they're doing, or they're the greatest actors the world has ever known. Somebody right now is saying, of course they believe what they're doing. They're tripping on ayahuasca. Okay, but again, I've heard. I would not even give this a second of thought if I haven't heard a lot of people over a lot of years, going right back to, again, Native American cultures, that somehow these trips can potentially reveal something about this reality that we just can't observe. And if that's the case, people would say, well, Matt, why aren't you just dying to do a trip? And I'm not. I don't know why. Maybe I'm scared to do it. I don't know. But the main point is, it's interesting. A lot of what he's said over the years resonates with me. And reality will be revealed. I've been fooled by many people before. I think I voted for George Bush in his first, when he ran against Al Gore. I did. Yeah, I've been fooled. I've been fooled by girls that said they'd be true to me. I've been fooled. So I'm not infallible. But reality will be revealed. What he's presenting now and the way he's presenting it is interesting. Neither here nor there. It's worth summarizing for you all, for those that may be interested. I understand about 2/3 are just rolling their eyes at this. And whatever. I'm not trying to push people to his channel. Just, it's neither here nor there. Check it out. Thought it was very interesting. Hope it's true. I hope Chris Geo has given my immortal spirit a way to get out of this trap. Hey, wouldn't that be nice? The way Quartz Crystal says she's won the game, I'm skeptical of all of it. It's interesting. I thought I'd talk about it. Some of you might want to check it out and decide for yourself. And if I've been fooled in any way into even keeping this on the table for 2 seconds, so what? Reality will be revealed. Can't hide reality from Matt, the simpleton Matt, forever. Eventually, I will figure it out. Thanks, guys.
And he has it kind of the same way that I have it, where time will reveal all. Some people say time will tell. Only time will tell. And that's just the way it is. Now, one of the things that I would like to also show, that's I mean, people can come in and talk about it. I'm really done with the videos. That's a quote that I like from Richard Feynman. If you guys don't know who Richard Feynman is, he's a theoretical physicist. He passed away a while ago. And he says, I would rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned. And we're getting to that point where whether it's government or whether it's individuals, hey, here's the answer, don't question it. I am not sorry, but I am on boat with Dr. Feynman. As far as whether ayahuasca does reveal the truth of the universe, I mean, that's like yeah, from a skeptical point of view, those who haven't done it, those who are not in the rabbit hole realm, those who think that everything in the world is a physical one, look, it's still an unknown. I say I'm agnostic, and I am. We don't really know whether one side is true or not. Maybe, again, time will tell, and time will reveal all, and we will know the truth. We will know whether there's a spiritual realm outside this one, or whether that this material realm can connect to it, or whether it's just vast empty space with no other life forms outside of our solar system, that there are no universes, or maybe there are universes. Like, we don't know that. So based on not knowing, we just have to go ahead and experience what is important in life and keep continuing to do that, but also not be so instilled with making sure, or seemingly, that everything that's out there isn't true, by not even attempting it, that it cannot be done without attempting it. And I am usually at odds with billions of people. Even people close to me is like, Ebon, no, that'll never happen. You can't do that. And then I go out there and I do it. And they go, yeah, that was just lucky. Well, then that means you can do it. I've done it. Other people have done it. It's not impossible. Oh, no, it's just unlikely. You can't do it again. I mean, Hillary Clinton can't, have 6 people flip a quarter and have it come up heads. Impossible. It happened, whether you believe it or not. No, you can't go up Mount Everest and come back alive. No one who went up that mountain ever came back alive. And then the first person who did it, yeah, okay, so it is possible. You came back alive. I don't think you really climbed up Mount Everest. That's their natural reaction. Otherwise, you would be dead. It's like, all right, I did it once. Let me do it again. I always joke to an old time friend of mine. I don't know if we're friends. We just lost contact quite a while ago. And we used to want to go mountain climbing. And I was like, and he wanted to go to courses to kind of read up about it. And all I did was I just read up about it and didn't go to the courses. It's like, why pay? They tell you everything you need to do and prepare yourselves in books anyway. But you go, nah. So anyways, we went and went to the course, and I told him exactly before the course everything that we would need to know and that what the course is going to cover. And of course, that's exactly what it did. There were no real licenses or anything like that, but he just didn't trust that someone like me would be able to know just from reading books and just from researching on my own. As a look, the people who first climbed mountains, they had to look at the failures of what was attempted and just try to not make those failures again. But they don't know about those failures because the people died during those attempts. So they have to just kind of figure things out, and eventually some people did it. Maybe people were rushing to get up to the mountain. Maybe it was just their camping. Who knows? I didn't read up about the whole Mount Everest thing. I'm just stating that as an example. So I think people fear too much. I think people are naysayers too much. And I think that's just not me. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's not you yet. And maybe you can see some examples. Maybe I can illustrate more examples, or maybe I can be the example and say, hey, it can be done, and it will be done, and it won't be a basis of fear holding me back. It won't be a basis of I don't know, lack of odds or possibilities. Look, I've been up against odds where I have 98% at most of winning a hand in poker, and guess what? That 2% chance of losing, it happened. And not just once, many times. You would think 98% chance of winning is a very, very high chance of winning. It's not necessarily the case. And I've had times where I've won in certain things where the odds and probabilities were probably really low. And sometimes I think certain things in life happen for a reason, and we just have to see it, whether it's signs, coincidences. And if you live your life ignorant of those signs and incidences, you'll never have a chance at anything, whether it's material or monetary success, whether it's whatever, maybe it's spiritual growth, maybe it's opportunity to find friends, maybe it's opportunity to find someone that you might fall in love with, or they might fall in love with you, chance to become a parent, a chance to travel the world. Those opportunities may not come, but the thing is, you kind of have to ask yourself, why are you holding back? What's holding you back? And that's the thing I question myself. I don't have to ask anyone else, why are they holding themselves back? I don't know them. I don't know what their reasons might be. But all I have to do is just ask myself, what's holding me back? I feel like nothing really holds me back as much as I try to do this every day. First importance is my family. So when they are around, I am the family man. I am the father. When my kid is sick, I am the father. I'm sorry. But of course, when something important arises, which I think is important, like the Julian Assange situation, whatever we can do, however much I may disagree with what we're doing, wouldn't be specifically useful in some ways. Look, I'm still going to do it because someone else finds it useful and they need my help, and I'll go ahead and help out. And so, yeah, I will give up 6 to 7 hours of family time a day and a weekend to help that out. But it just boils down to a situation. It boils down to what you need to do, and I kind of went offhand. Anyways, that is the show tonight. No guests, it appears. That's fine. I'd rather focus on some other things and probably look up a couple more videos to watch and listen to if I have time. I usually like listening to people videos. I think so I'm trying to do 2 of these a day, which is kind of tough. I mean, not just the 2 at night where it goes to an open topic, but trying to do one during kind of the near end of the day for people who might be able to access and come on, and of course the usual late night or late night. I'm kind of debating about whether I do one where I just kind of do a podcast. You don't have to watch videos, that you can just listen in. And I find that useful sometimes, because when I'm listening to certain podcasts and they're just talking, it's not really important to actually watch the screen while they're talking. I find it useful because I can be doing other things while I'm listening, you know. I can pay attention and listen at the same time. At least I can multitask like that. That's nice. Okay. If I get bored, I might start another one, which is going to go into the what was I saying? I was going to go into the Occult Science discussion series, which is basically restreaming videos from the YouTube channel Schism 206. It's actually pretty well made videos from what I've seen, that kind of boils a lot of things down simply into different specific parts. You're not flooded with esoteric or occult knowledge. But I feel as though that is important to know about these things, because it's not taught in public education. And public education, as far as I know, has been worthless. Life after public education didn't apply to me. All I was actually, I guess, what I learned a lot in the public system is that how to interact with different types of people, different types of cliques, and how I would react, whether I would be different as far as being myself to fit in, or whether I'd be able to find people where I didn't have to pretend to be someone I wasn't in order to be a part of a group. So that's that. Hopefully my words and what info and websites and YouTube channels that I showed kind of can give you a head start as far as exploring. I know Schultze is kind of excited about possibly entertaining the idea of using ayahuasca. I am too. So again, if I do use ayahuasca, which is I think illegal in the United States, DMT is, I'm gonna do it live. Yeah, I would be doing it live. I won't call it that I'm on the ayahuasca. I won't be doing it in private and saying, reporting it after. Nope, you're gonna see me. You may not know what's going on, but you'll see me, and it will be live. Okay, that's it for this episode. I may do another episode in half an hour, maybe more. Who knows? I'm just gonna look up and see whether it's feasible or whether I feel like doing another episode tonight. I've already done 2 long episodes. Whether it's just better for me to prepare. Anyways, okay, I'm signing off. No one's coming on. I'll see you guys later.